Welcome to Yu-Gi-Oh! Discussion number 4. As promised in the previous Yu-Gi-Oh! News video, which was number 3, I promised I'd now discuss in more detail the new ban list. It is currently February 28th, 2013, which means the final day of the September 2012 ban list. Once again, let's go over the ban list. Newly banned are Sangan and Wind-Up Carrier Zen Mighty. Both came from Limited. Newly limited, Wind-Up Magician and One Day of Peace, originally unlimited, and Solemn Warning, originally semi-limited. Newly semi-limited are Tsukuyomi and Advanced Ritual Art, originally limited, and Thunder King Ryo, originally unlimited. And newly unlimited, Spore from Limited, Blackwing Kalut the Moon Shadow, Lumina Lightsworn Summoner, Sheen Smoke Signal, and Mind Crush. Those all originally semi-limited. Sangan. Sangan has been limited for a long time. I cannot remember exactly for how long, but it has its sister, you could say, in Witch of the Black Forest. They have the exact same effect except for one thing. Sangan adds a monster with 1500 or less attack from deck to hand, which the Black Forest does the same thing but with defense, 1500 or less defense. Which of the Black Forest was banned pretty quickly because you were able to get a lot more good monsters with Witch of the Black Forest. Sangan, on the other hand, did definitely see its potential, was brought to limited quite quickly as well, but has stayed there for quite some time. Was able to, add really good cards to your hand. Tour Guide, Rabbit. Obviously, Exodia pieces. Would you be playing Exodia with Sangan? Would you play it in Dark Worlds? Maybe Broach for extra discard. But Sangan had a lot of the wind-ups too. Sangan had a lot of options, and I personally was fine with Sangan at 1 with a little searcher. As long as it was at 1, I did not mind it. Konami thought differently, banned Sangan, which I can see reasons behind that. I personally was fine with Sangan at 1, but that's my personal opinion. There'll be some other cards in the new list that I don't really agree with, or was surprised by, you could say. Now the other newly banned card is Wind-Up Carrier Zen Mighty. It was the first Xyz monster to hit the ban list. It was September 2012 ban list that the first Xyz monster hit the ban list. Zen Mighty became limited, and since DN still currently uses the September 2012 list, you'll still see the limited symbol. But if we go to the wind-up page, you'll see that. No, well, you won't necessarily see it, but I'm going to use it as sort of an explanation. Wind-Up Carrier Zen Mighty was able to combo with so much stuff. Originally, in the March 2012 ban list, you had the Hunter loop. It was pretty much Hunter, use any way you want to make Zen Mighty. Summon, detach, summon Rat. Use Zen Mighty. No, wait, no. I can't even remember how it works. I did use it once. Either way, it was Zen Mighty, Hunter, and Rat, and then just keep on recycling and pretty much emptying your opponent's hand first turn to not give them any options. The only deck that could stop that is Dark Worlds. No, wait, not even Dark Worlds, because it send a card from hand to graveyard. It doesn't say discard, so scratch what I just said. Dark Worlds don't stop them either. But yeah, that's why it went to limited. But even limited, it still had a lot of options. It could summon Wind-Up Rat, Wind-Up Shark, Wind-Up Magician, Wind-Up Rabbit. When Wind-Up Carrier Zen Mighty went to 1, the Hunter loop wasn't really viable anymore. So Wind-Up Rabbit was used more often, and Wind-Up Factory as well. And then the 4 main cards were Rabbit, Rat, Shark, Magician. Those are the 4 main deck wind-up cards used. And Zen Mighty was able to summon all of them. And you could get a lot of things up. Wind Up Rabbit could just use its effect and trigger Factory or Wind Up Shark. Rat could bring back Rabbit, another rat, or something else that you might want to summon. Shark can, once any wind-up monster is summoned to the field, and that can happen through a lot of ways, through Zenmaity's effect, through Magician's effect, through Rat's effect, through a normal summon, Shark can come on the field. Magician summons another monster when another wind-up monster's effect is activated. So wind-ups still had a lot of potential. So Konami decided to take them down and just completely ban Zenmaity. Still the only Xyz monster on the ban list, and it is banned. Wonder what the next Xyz monster will be that'll hit the ban list. What do you think? Alright, newly limited. Let's continue with the wind-ups. Wind-up Magician. As I just told you, Wind-up Shark. When any wind-up monster is normal or special summoned to the field, you can summon Shark, and through its own effect, Shark can become level 5 or level 3 by activating its effect, which may trigger other cards, like Wind-up Magician. Many people thought either Magician or Shark is going to be hit, either to semi-limit or to limit. Konami decided upon Wind-up Magician, and it's limited. This, however, does not destroy wind-ups. With Zenmaity to limited in the September 2012 ban list, the Hunter loop was gone, but there were still a lot of other options to make wind-ups very viable. Now Magician is at 1 and Zenmaity is banned. That does not mean wind-ups are dead, because now people have found out, it felt like it was a new way of playing wind-ups. Well, people just never really did it before, because there were other options that were a little more viable, and these cards had all existed for a while already. But now, a good amount of the wind-up decks use Wind-up Warrior and M-Cross Saber Invoker for some OTK-ish thing. It's not really an OTK, but it can deal over 8,000 damage, so on a clear field, that will be an OTK. One Day of Peace lets you draw, and the opponent draw, but neither player takes damage until the opponent's next turn. And pretty much almost all decks focus on lowering the opponent's life points, so that is a very good stall card, but also a very annoying one. I've used One Day of Peace myself, but when I face it, I'm like, it's annoying. In a way, card advantage-wise, compared to your opponent, it's a -1, because you draw one, and you lose one card, because you lose One Day of Peace, and the opponent draws one card, so in that sense, it's a -1. But, for one, it is a spell card, so that helps with library, Royal Magical Library, if we're running that in an Exodia deck. You stall. You cannot take any damage during the opponent's next turn, and during your own turn as well, if the opponent would use burn cards, like Justice or Secret Barrel. And you pretty much just empty your deck out. And with One Day of Peace at 3, you could stall for 3 turns, get 3 spell cards for Royal Magical Library. That was quite annoying. So I expected One Day of Peace to be hit. I expected limited. So, people asked me last month and a little longer in the past, what do you think will be hit on the ban list? And I really did not have a clue. I just said that. There were a few cards that I thought might be hit or might change if they're banned or limited or something. But I really didn't have an idea of the whole thing. One Day of Peace was one of the things that I thought would be hit till limited, and I was right. Now, Solemn Warning. It negates inherent summons, and it negates the activations of effects, the activations of cards that summon a monster. And I'm saying the activation of cards, and not the activations of effects, although technically it is effects, but the activation of cards, since, let's say, Valhalla, Hall of the Fallen, as one of the examples. You are able to summon a fairy-type monster the moment you activate Valhalla, using Valhalla's effect. If you do that, then the effect of Valhalla is activated the moment the card is activated, and Solemn Warning will be able to stop it. But would you just place Valhalla on the field and not activate the summoning effect, but activate it later on in the turn, then Solemn Warning would not be usable, because Solemn Warning says when a spell card is activated that includes an effect that special summons a monster. At the moment you activate the effect, but the spell card was already active, it is not a spell card activation, it is a spell card effect activation. But then, why won't you be able to use Solemn Warning when you originally activate Valhalla? Well, you're not certain if the opponent will actually use the summoning effect or not. That's the reason you can't use Warning. But enough about the ruling. Solemn Warning is a very good card. I personally like it more than Solemn Judgment. Solemn Warning and Solemn Judgment can both negate inherent summons. So that's normal summons, flip summons, XC summons, synchro summons. Solemn Warning, next to that, can also stop effects that summon. So monster effects like Wind Up Carriers and Mighty, Wind Up Rats, Mystic Tomato, and also spell and trap cards that do that, like Monster Reborn, Call of the Haunted. Solemn Judgment can stop any spells and traps. So also Dark Hole, Heavy Storm, I don't know, anything you can really come up with. But Solemn Judgment costs half of your life points, which is usually more than 2,000, which is what you need to pay for Warning. I personally liked Warning more than Judgment. If I use one of them, I'll usually use the other in a deck as well. But if I had to choose, I usually go for Solemn Warning. I can see why it was limited. I was fine with it being at semi-limit, but I was like, maybe semi-limit, maybe limit. So, it's a really good card, so I'm not really going to complain that it's a limited. I can understand it. Semi-limited, we have Tsukuyomi. Was banned on the March 2012 ban list. Came back in September 2012. I tried it in one deck, didn't really work. I haven't really tried any deck in which this works. I know some other people did. I have no clue what kind of decks those are, but apparently it works quite well. But Konami didn't feel it was good enough to, broken enough to stay at one, so they made it semi-limited. And furthermore, I don't really know too much about Tsukuyomi, so that'll be all for that discussion. Advanced Ritual Art has been limited for quite some time. I cannot actually remember how long, but it pretty much lets you summon any ritual monster from your hand, as long as you send normal monsters with the exact level, and not exact level or over like normal ritual summons. Normal monsters from deck to grave to summon the monster. Let's say you want to summon the Hungry Burger, which is a really old level 6 ritual. Then you could send from your deck to the graveyard a level 4 normal monster and a level 2 normal monster, which would be, let's think, Gaga Gigo and Mystical Shineball, a level 4 and a level 2. You send those from deck to grave. Go Hungry Burger. That's one of the options. It was at 1 because it was an easy ritual summon, but I guess fine at 2. Unless someone has some really big complaints. Advanced Ritual Art wasn't really used too often in too many decks, but it's a good card. But that does mean you have to put normal monsters of exact levels in your deck, and that sometimes when you draw them are sort of a dead draw because you really don't want to draw them. They're only in there for Advanced Ritual Art. But yeah, just tell me what you think. The only thing, just tell me what you think. Thunder King Ryo, an anti-meta card, was unlimited, and I am surprised it went to semi-limit. Like, an argument that it should have stayed at unlimited that I've heard quite a lot was, it's an anti-meta card, you're supposed to take down the meta, why do you take down anti-meta? That stops the taking down from the meta. That's an argument that I have heard a lot. And I can understand it, yes. I personally was fine with Thunder King Ryo at 3 because I don't feel it's too broken for unlimited. It's 1900 attack, which is good. Neither player can add cards from the deck to their hand except by drawing them, so no Sangan, no Pot of Duality, and those kind of cards. And it can stop one inherent summon by tributing itself. I was fine being, like, having it at 3. I haven't really looked up any comments from Konami about why they did the ban list, but I was fine with it being at 3. I didn't really find too much trouble. Maybe it was because its attack was at 1900. It was a good beater, a level 4 beater as well. If it would have been like 1700 attack or 1600, I'm pretty sure it would have been at 3, because that 1900 attack for a level 4 play parts, definitely. And our newly unlimited, we have back from banned on the March 2012 ban list, Spore. Spore, together with Glow a Bulb, went to banned in the March 2012 list. Spore, unlike Glow a Bulb, came back to limited in September 2012, and now is actually unlimited again. So Plant Synchros get some more, well, spores to play with. It'll actually have some more plants than just Dandelion and Lonefire, if that's even used. I don't even remember. I don't really have a Plant Synchro deck. Haven't really had one since Spore and Glow a Bulb were unlimited. Blackwings get Colute the Moon Shadow back at 3. It is sort of a mini Honest for the Blackwings, where Honest takes a light monster's like battling opponent and takes that monster's attack, so you can beat anyone. Colute adds 1400 attack to any Blackwing monster to help stuff out, and with it being at 3, you get more chance to draw it, obviously, if you run 3 in your deck. Let's just get some cards out that could work with it. We have Blizzard of the Far North, can summon a level 4 or lower Blackwing from the grave, which is possibly Colute if you've used its effect already, which can then get you into a level 5 Synchro. Another card that will definitely see its advantages is Shura the Blue Flame, because if Shura destroys a monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, you can special summon a new Blackwing with 1500 or less attack from your deck. And Shura already has 1800 attack, which is definitely good, and I like that. But the opponent might have a monster with 1900 attack, let's say Thunder King Ryo, or a Synchro monster like Stardust Dragon to beat it. Well, with Colute at 3 instead of 2, you have more chance to having Colute in your hand, and then just send it to the graveyard, and Shura is suddenly at 3200 attack, and it can beat a lot of monsters. And then, because it destroys a monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, it gets its effect and summons a new Blackwing. So that definitely helps Blackwings get a little more play. Lumina Lightsworn Summoner was limited for a little while, ever since Lightsworns were like meta. I remember that time. I hated Lightsworns back then, but when I finally started playing them last year, I started loving them, and they were my main deck for like 4 months. Anyway, Lumina was, I believe, limited still in the March 2012 ban list, but on September 2012 went to semi-limited. Konami didn't feel Lumina gave that much of an advantage anymore, and now in March 2013, it is unlimited, so some more rank 3 plays for Lightsworns, maybe. You can, like, discard that wolf that is dead draw pretty much and summon something else, or just summon wolf if you want a 2100 attacker, and do some plays with that. We have Sheen Smoke Signal at 3, which a lot of people did not expect. 6 Samurais actually get a boost in this list. Like, if Sheen Smoke Signal would have added a level 4 or lower 6 Samurai, then it would have definitely stayed at semi-limited, or even be lower, because then it would have been quite a bit more broken, because there are a lot of good level 4 6 Samurais. It's level 3 or lower, so that still works. Usually, let me just look this up. Legendary 6. Usually it is either Kageki that is added, or I believe it's Kagemusha. Yes, Kagemusha. 1 level 3, 1 level 2, and they work together to make a really easy Shi-En, which is pretty much the 6 Samurai's main card. I was fine being with it having it at 2, maybe even at 1 as a searcher. Like Reinforcements of the Army had that. Um, Emergency Call is it? I think Emergency Call is it. No, it is at 2. Anyway, I don't agree with the choice of bringing a smoke signal back to 3. I'm gonna have to look that up and see Konami's reasoning behind that. Yeah, 2 or 1 in my opinion. But that's Sheen Smoke Signal. Here's Mind Crush. Now, Mind Crush wasn't actually originally on the Shriek list that was leaked or, well, released. All of the other cards that I've just discussed were. But Mind Crush wasn't. That was, like, placed there, like, just over a day later with the word update next to it. I don't really know why they forgot to put it in, or just they decided a Mind Crush really late. But okay, Mind Crush from semi-limited to unlimited. And this will work in Dark Worlds, especially if you combine it with... There's a lot of covered dimension in their name. What's it? I cannot remember what the name is. No, it's not dimension. What is that Dark World spell? Return something? No. What is that? Sorry. The competitive players that are watching my videos will probably be like, it's called that. I might remember near the end of the video, but is a card often used in Dark Worlds. I could just look it up in my own Dark World deck. What am I thinking? It's Drag Down into the Grave, right. Alright, Drag Down into the Grave. With that, both players reveal each other their hands, you discard, and then you draw, which one will usually activate a Dark Worlds effect because you play your cards in a way that the opponent has to choose a Dark World with an effect that activates when it's discarded. You draw, and you know what your opponent has in their hand, so Mind Crush. And in the off chance that you do not know that, and if you don't draw Drag Down or something when you have Mind Crush, you can still use it and think what the opponent might have. Let's say they're playing wind-ups, they might have a wind-up shark in their hand, or a wind-up rabbit, or, I don't know, wind-up factory. Although they'll probably have played that by then, but you can have a good guess. In like, let's say, Macro Rabbit, or Dino Rabbit, there's a good chance they'll have a Sabersaurus, a Rescue Rabbit, Forbidden Lands, Sabersaurus Capazols. You can have a good guess. And would you be wrong, then you discard all cards in your hand, and then Dark Worlds go effects. Like, let's say you have a Grapha, a Bro, and a Snow, then Grapha destroys, Snow searches for a card, and Bro draws. So, there you go. You can still, like, it's not often used that way, but it may be helpful, and it is at 3 now, so Dark Worlds may just see a little boost with Mind Crush. But who knows? Now, a card that I've been thinking about, also on the previous ban list, Forbidden Lands. It's at 3, and although I'm fine with it being at 3, I thought maybe semi-limited. I thought this on the previous list as well, and I was thinking Book of Moon. Although Book of Moon also does help with empty jar decks, so that might have been why Book of Moon is at 3 and Lands is at Book of Moon is at 1 and Lands is at 3. But I'm thinking Lance is a card that's used quite often in quite a lot of decks. Makes the monster unaffected by spells and traps, so you can save your own monsters with it, and you can have your monsters win battles, because 800 attack is quite a lot. Going back to the Shura against Stardust that I gave in the example with Kalut, you can use Lance in the damage step on Stardust to lower Stardust's attack to 1700, beat it with Shura, and then get a black, and you can use Forbidden Lance for that as well. It is very useful. I thought that Lance might be hit and go to semi-limited. I thought that might have been the case, but besides Forbidden Lance maybe going to semi-limited, Sheen Smoke Signal to 1, and 1 Day of Peace to 1, and then I thought something with wind-ups, because I still thought that they were like too combo-ish, too quickly swarming the field, but I really wasn't sure what, and it was Sen Mighty to Zenmaiti Band, and Magician to 1. Alright, that was the video for today. This was Yu-Gi-Oh! Discussion number 4 on the 2013 March ban list. It is currently February 28th, 2013. Tomorrow we'll have the update on Dueling Network. And I should let you know that you'll need to resave all of your decks. A good amount of your decks will already be okay, be okay with the new ban list, but resave all of them. You will not be able to use any decks unless you go into your deck builder, deck constructor. This deck, let's say this Burning Knuckler deck, this one is already fine with the new ban list. But if I go into the duel room, then I would not be able to use anything, not even my Burning Knuckler deck. I'll need to go into deck constructor and click save. That is all I'll need to do, and then I'll be able to duel with my Burning Knuckler deck again. But if there's other decks that have like 2 Solemn Warnings in it, like quite a lot of decks do, or my Exodia deck that has 3 One Day of Peace cards, I'll need to edit those and then save them to be able to use them in the advanced section, because I do want most of my decks to be usable there. Alright, that has been the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you look forward to more Yu-Gi-Oh! Discussions, because I have quite a lot of ideas to discuss. If you have any suggestions, place them in the comments, and I am going to see you guys later, and well, I'm just going to do some more admin duty right now. See ya.